Oh, hello, and welcome to Better Than Common Garage. I'm your host, I think, for the most part. No, that was stupid. This magnificent piece is what you would call a barn find, uh, or technically a shed find. I knew of this car for several years and had the opportunity to buy it, and I drug it out of a shed. I'll have to insert a picture here of me doing that with the trailer, and been going through it trying to make it run. It has, the last inspection sticker was 2005, which is a few years ago. So the history of this car, from what I can tell, and from the stories that I've heard and all the information I've gathered, is that the original engine that was in this gave up. These 2.9s weren't the most reliable things ever. Their heads were like glass and would crack and break. And the engine let loose in this, so the guy that had it was taking and swapping another engine out of another 2.9 that he had, and was going to change it from a standard to an automatic, so the story goes. And like many projects do, he just gave up, lost interest, and it sat without an engine for 18 years or whatever. So when I bought it, it was a rolling chassis. There was no engine in it, but the transmission was in it. So it put a clutch and a pressure plate on it with a new slave cylinder. And we are going through trying to get the wiring right and vacuum lines and fuel lines. That is quite the process. The brakes are iffy. That'll have to be addressed. It needs tires, but it's an all-in-all solid car, and I'm pretty pleased to have it. So let me show you around a little bit. So as you can see, there is not a lot on here. The engine that he gave me when I bought it was another 2.9 that they claim was a Jasper 2.9. And I don't know anything about it. I do know that it turns over. I had it make some noise last night. It fired on a couple cylinders. But it is somewhat complete. I had to get a drive for it and the alternator, and I'm still in the process of getting all that hooked up. But the body is intact, not a whole lot of rust. The girl in the headlights, the girl's got a little brake air, no biggie. But the worst part about the whole entire body is right down there at the bottom of the rocker, sort of the quarter panel there. But everything else is really solid. The gas tank is shot. I need to get a gas tank for it. It's got a couple holes. The fuel pump is out of it. And I think that was part of what also was bad with it. The guy who supplied me the engine also supplied me a fuel pump. So I just got done redoing the firing pattern, or the firing pattern on the sparkulator lightning hoses there, in case any of you guys watch old Vice Grip, you'll get that reference. But the firing pattern was not even anywhere close. Somehow last night we got it to fire and sitting about half idle on about 1 or 2 cylinders. So I'm hoping that I can get it to idle a little better here. I don't have the fuel tank or fuel pump hooked up. But I do have most of the vacuum lines plugged off, the ones that need plugged off, and I'm gonna just give it a little bit of brake clean and see if we can't get it to sit and idle for a little bit maybe. So let's go, let's see what we can get. It made some noise. All right. Well, crap. I checking to see if I was on top dead center on cylinder number 1 and had the spark plug out. That might explain why it didn't sound the best. Obviously, you can tell the manifolds aren't. It's just open manifold. The exhaust is not on. Let me get this in and we will try it again. Click, click. Hold. Plug wire fell. All right, let's try that again. Clean up the intake also. Hey, sounded way better. Way much more gooder. I'm pretty pleased with that. So a little bit more about this thing is, here's a little bit better view of some of the barn dirt that was on it, still on it. It is pretty cherry. If anybody knows anything about vehicles from Pennsylvania knows that they don't last. And if you find something from the 80s that's not completely rotten, you better cherish it and hold on to it for a little while because it's probably not long lived. Some of the worst rot is like down here. You can sort of see a little punkiness there, but that little filler panel is almost completely gone. Got myself one of them there holes, decent sized holes, but the underneath of it is extremely clean. The guy must have had those aluminum step boards that you see on like the old man trucks that run the whole length of the side, because there's zero rot on any of the floorboards or anything like that. It's all like in front of the back tires and back is where it gets a little bit rusty. But the worst part is seriously right here. That's the worst spot. And then there's another bad spot over here on this side. Yeah, got see-through quarter panels. They're never any good, but I mean, look at that rocker. It is pristine. And if you guys go under, I mean, it's pretty clean, you know. And now a lot of that is like surface rust and flake and whatnot. So I'm pretty excited to have something that, you know, end goal being something that I can train my son on driving a 5-speed in, and you know, maybe possibly being his first car. And that's coming up here in 4 years, so scary fast. I think what I'm going to do is reuse the fuel tank for now. This summer I want to replace it, and while I have it out this summer, I'm going to patch this stuff, replace that filler panel, put a new fuel tank in it, do some basic body work. I'm going to cut off that spot on the rockers on both sides and replace them, and then probably paint it, because honestly the roof has zero paint and the hood is the same way. You can see that there is zero paint there, so it needs paint on the roof at least. So I'll probably paint the whole thing, which I'm no good at, nor do I enjoy. So they'll cross that bridge when we get there. But like I said, for now I'm just going to get it running. I'm going to patch the holes in that tank, probably just smear some of that stuff on it that they sell at the parts stores. Clean out the inside, get all the rust out of the inside, because obviously it's full. There's the old fuel pump, it's junk. There was no life left in it. The new fuel pump that I got for it, that the guy gave me with the car, doesn't look anything like it. And I think the biggest issue is everything's sort of backwards on it. I mean, I think the pump will sit about where it needs to sit, but the lines point the opposite direction. The plug is flipped on the hat there. So I think there's enough line and wire to hook it up. I already tested the pump. It does turn on with the key, so I think that'll work. The only other issue that could possibly be is if it was a different pressure than that pump. If the one was for 35 pounds, and the other one was for 40. I don't know if that would play much into that. So I did want to add, well, I didn't ever show you the inside, but here is, in case you guys are wondering, it's not lifted, but I have it up on my OSHA approved jack stand there, just so I can fit my belly. My belly just doesn't exactly fit nicely underneath there. It's kind of hard to work, so I put it up in the back on the stands. But here is the interior. It is complete for the most part. There's a few pieces. There's an armrest that goes on top of them. Anybody knows they break. But it's a pretty clean unit. It's a pretty clean unit. The gear shifter may need some armor all. But the seats are here. They're not ripped. It just needs cleaned. Hardcore. That seat, if you can't tell, you can kind of see it, but that seat is actually different. It's a gray and not a blue, but I'm probably going to put a cover on it so you'll never see it. But door cards are here and complete. The driver's side, this is broke. This one looks a little broke also, but power windows, power locks. I mean, she was pretty optioned out for an 89. So that's one thing I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to have a couple more videos on this. I want to get running, get it back on the road, and then improve upon it as I go. I'll probably end up putting an exhaust on it before I get it on the road. That and tires, and more than likely have to go through the brakes. But the rust is gonna stay for now, and the lack of paint on the roof will be here for the time being until I get time to do some body work on it. And that might be next winter, so we'll see. But on the one last thing is, did custom fuel rail. And I'm telling you what, we'll probably get another 7 or 8 horsepower to the tail light on that puppy. It's probably gonna leak. So that's it. So I just want to thank y'all for watching, and I will see you in a week or so.